Shabbat Shalom and Chag Pesach Sameach. I'm Sue Strait, a past chair of the JCC Board, and I'm so glad to join you today to talk about this week's Parsha. When I started looking for the Torah portion for this week, I discovered that we have a special Torah portion. Instead of continuing our reading in the book of Exodus, we jump ahead to a special section of the Parsha Re'eh in the book of Deuteronomy. This Parsha was selected by the rabbis just for this holiday. And this Shabbat is even more special because this is one of the rare Pesachs that has 2 Shabbatot in its 8-day run. So why is there a special portion picked out for this week? And why would the rabbis have decided that this specific portion was really important to read this week? I think I can pick out a couple of reasons why it speaks to me, especially as our Pesach holiday is winding down. As Pesach comes to the end of its very long 8 days, I don't know about you, but all I can think about is chametz. I feel like it's been ages since I ate a normal meal, a normal sandwich, and I had to use all of my creative powers all week not to feel deprived. But instead of being a Torah portion talking about our return to our post-Pesach lives, the Torah portion reminds us to think about food, about our harvests, flocks, food supplies, wine, everything that sustains us all year. Just as in other parts of the Torah that talk about making our lives and our meals holy by thanking God for the food we have, this part of the Torah talks about the food and wealth that we have. It encourages us to take stock of that wealth and tells us how to make it holy. This special portion for the second Shabbat of Pesach begins with a discussion about tithing. Tithing is a tradition that we sometimes associate with Christians who tithe to the church. But the tradition is really our own and set out in detail in this Torah reading. The commandment of tithing instructs us to take 1/10 of all of our produce, all of our flocks, and all of our harvest, and bring it into the presence of the Lord in a place where He will choose to establish His name. Where was this place the Lord chose for us to bring this tithe, the 10th of our portion, to? It was the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. So if I were living back in biblical times, the commandment was that the whole family, the husbands, the sons, the daughters, the grandkids, the slaves, the servants, and all of the hangers-on would schlep all of this to Jerusalem, plus the paper plates and cups and forks, of course, to join with the rest of the Israelites and to eat and drink the entire tithe right there in the holy city. I think God had a reason for telling us to gather with our groceries in Jerusalem, and I see that even today. You know what? Jews need each other and a community to follow God's commandments and to make our lives holy. Going to Jerusalem on the 3 holidays in the year that we call pilgrimage holidays, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, meant that even if we lived very happily with our families on our farms in Israel, we needed to come together with our fellow Israelites to present our tithes in Jerusalem so that God would continue to bless us and our land. We were commanded to join with our community to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And this is a pretty cool idea. After all, aren't feasts more exciting with company? And I'm always happier when I can share the experience with friends and family. But there are other purposes for these tithes that were required of us, something that I think is key to the way that I see my role in our community. That 10% portion was what we were able to enjoy for 4 out of the 7 years of a cycle. But God had other plans for the remaining years. Those plans included taking care of the community. The Parsha says, "Do not neglect the Levite in your community, for he has no hereditary portion as you have. Every 3rd year you shall bring out the full tithe of your yield of that year. Then the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow in your settlements shall come and eat their fill, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the enterprises you undertake." Here's one of the beginnings of the tzedakah in our history. By identifying and separating this small part of my harvest and using it to take care of others in the community, I'm recognizing that God has provided this bounty to me and my family and intends it to be shared. Well, not many of us make our pilgrimages 3 times a year anymore. But this portion's discussion reminds me to take stock of how blessed I am to be able to be a part of and share with our wonderful community in the JCC. I hope you'll consider this idea of sharing a portion of your abundance with the community as well. I wish you and your loved ones a Chag Pesach Sameach.
take care of